That's about Michael Shannon. We're going to speak to him after the travel. Just tell us about Michael.
He's an extraordinarily intense presence on screen. He's been in things like Shotgun Tales. He was in Bug, the William Friedkin movie. He's the guy in World Trade Center who you see at the end saying someone's got to pay for this and effectively going off and starting the war on terror. He is the madman who speaks the truth in Revolutionary Road. He's the guy. He's in Werner Herzog's My Son, What Have He Done? He's the guy who Werner Herzog said he walked into the room and he couldn't believe how intense he was. And now he's in Take Shelter as a character who believes that an apocalyptic storm is coming and decides that what he needs to do is to take shelter.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Kermode and Mayo's film review.
I'm delighted to say we have Michael Shannon with us. His new movie is called Take Shelter. Michael, how are you? Good afternoon.
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good to have you on the programme. I split the viewing of your film, so I watched some of it up to bedtime, and then I thought, I'll wait. I'll wait and watch the rest. I think people will understand that when they see the film. Tell us about Take Shelter, and tell us about Curtis.
Yes, I play a man named Curtis. He's a real salt of the earth type fellow. Works at a mine and. He has a family, and at the beginning of the film, he's really just kind of an everyman, you know. And he starts having these dreams about a storm, and the dreams are reoccurring every night, and they get progressively more and more threatening. And they start including his friends and family, and he can't shake them. So he starts to think that maybe they're telling him something, or maybe not. He also entertains the notion that there may just be something wrong with him. So the film sees him exploring both possibilities to the fullest extent.
There's also a history of mental illness in your family.
Yes. Curtis's mother, when Curtis was 10 years old, had a breakdown and wound up in a hospital and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So, you know, it's a possibility on a wide spectrum of possibilities.
Yeah. And you're married to Jessica Chastain, who is, of course, wonderful in the film. I spent the first hour saying, just go and talk to her, Curtis. You know, why? She's a loving wife. You've got a great kid there. So they'll watch this film and they'll spend the first hour worrying about you.
You didn't say one word about this to me. Don't you think you owe me that? Don't you think that you might respect me enough to at least consider what I'd have to say?
I didn't want you worrying about it.
Well, I'm worried, Curtis. How are you paying for all that?
I got a home improvement loan from the bank.
How could you do that without talking to me? You know the expenses we have coming up. You want to waste money on a stupid tornado shelter?
I'm doing it for us. I know you don't understand.
You're right, I don't understand! I don't understand half the stuff you've been doing lately. I don't understand you putting Red out back. I don't understand you staying up all night in that stupid tornado shelter. You don't come to bed half the time, you leave, you don't tell me where you're going. Explain that to me. Please. Tell me something that helps me understand why you're being like this.
There's nothing to explain.
The great thing about the movie is you're not quite sure what's happening, really. Right. So not only do we think, well, is he losing it? Is he going to be like his mum? But there is always that suggestion that what he's seeing is, you know, maybe it is for real.
Right. Well, and there's a shift in the film where it goes from dreams he's having to actual waking experiences that he's having. And that's where the gauntlet really gets thrown, I think. I also think Curtis is he's ashamed of the experience he's having, and I think he remembers what it felt like when his mother started to show symptoms, being ashamed of her and not wanting people to worry about him or be embarrassed by his behavior.
Recently we had Lynn Ramsey in to talk about We Need to Talk About Kevin, and she was explaining how they filmed the whole thing in a month, right. And it cost $7 million. And so we're back in that territory again for this. And we didn't use about 4 weeks and I think $5 million. I mean, I didn't think it was possible to make a movie for that amount that looks like this.
Right. That's Jeff's ingenuity, really. I mean, even in his first film...
This is Jeff Nichols, the
Jeff
director,
Nichols,
yeah.
the director, yeah. His first film, Shotgun Stories, this is his first film, out of film school, and he shot on 35 anamorphic, which is, really, it's unusual nowadays. Most people are lucky to get their hands on a digital camera, but he insisted on it.
So he shot the old-fashioned way, was it?
Yeah, sometimes he reminds me of an old school, like a John Ford or somebody like that. He's just very tough, and he's very confident, even though he's young. He's always very ingenious about how to get people to do things. He's someone who he's kind of a born leader. If he wasn't a filmmaker, he probably could have been a great sergeant or lieutenant or something.
I mean, there's an intensity to the story anyway, but it must be magnified by the fact you're doing the whole thing in 4 weeks, and you know that you can't mess this up. You can't overrun by a week because the whole thing will disappear.
Yeah, but it's...
Do you panic?
No, because it all starts at the top, and that's the thing, is that Jeff never panics. That's one of the reasons he's a good leader. There was only one day where the train almost seriously came off the tracks. It was... It was ironically because of the rain people. They were the one kind of, I would hate to say deficiency, but they were not the top department, which is ironic in a film about a storm.
So these are the special effects guys turning up with a hose?
Yeah, literally, the hose and the tank and the pickup truck. And it was the dream where Tova and I are in the truck,
right,
and we're driving. And
you can barely see anything. We can't see anything.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really have been driving.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that whole dream is actually supposed to take place during the day. We were having so much trouble with the rain that the sun went down, and Jeff was sitting by the side of the road, and he said, "This is complete and total failure." And it seemed like he was almost going to crack, but I just went up to him. I said, "Hey, it's cool. It's a dream. The first half can be in the day, and the second half can be at night. It adds to the dreamlike.
Great thing about a dream, you do whatever you want."
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's why in the last half of that dream, where there's that eerie white light outside the truck, is because it was like midnight, and we were just blasting white light all around.
I'll go back and watch it again and look out for that. I'm trying to compare that experience and playing this role with being General Zod.
Oh, yeah.
In Superman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the contrast must be either mind-blowing or just another part of working life for you.
I think the only similarity, really, I can think of, and because there really are none, but the funny thing about it is no matter how much time or money you have on a film, you always hear people complaining about time and money, or saying they don't have enough time and money. I mean, for example, there was a scene we shot recently, fairly short scene, and it was scheduled for 2.5 days. And, I'm talking a scene literally like a page and a half, something like that. And 2.5 days later, we still weren't finished. So, whereas, on Take Shelter, we'd be shooting 10 pages a day, So,
are the rain effects better in Superman?
the meteor shower effects are better, yeah. But
you've worked with some amazing directors. Compare working with the likes of Sidney Lumet, or Oliver Stone, Werner Herzog, with Zack Snyder.
Oh, wow. I mean, every name on that list is unique. But Zack is... I
hadn't mentioned William Friedkin, but
exactly.
Pitch him in as well.
First of all, Zack is... And I'm not campaigning for him, but he sincerely really is one of the nicest people I've ever worked for. And nice up and down the line to everyone on set. And his mantra seems to be, it seems like he's constantly repeating in his head, I'm so lucky to be making a movie. Like, he just really genuinely always seems to feel very fortunate to be doing what he's doing. And I bring that up because he's also under a lot of pressure, and I could see someone in that situation really going kind of bonkers, because it's a huge movie, and there's a huge responsibility for him to deliver. And he's also very funny. His favorite thing to do is to make people laugh, And,
is it fun? I mean, I imagine the pressure on a big budget movie like Superman would mean that it's not, and the special effects would mean that it couldn't be as much fun as doing a smaller budget picture with some mates where you all get to go out to the bar afterwards. I don't know, but
well, it's different. I think people imagine that because the Superman or something of this nature is something that you you pretend as a child, you know, you can play around, and it seems like it would be very playful, and to a certain extent it is, you know, and it does require a lot of imagination and all that, but you know, your playfulness and your imagination is going to be dissected by a large percentage of the population of the world. I mean, if Warner Brothers has anything to do with it, you know, everybody, but or if they had their way, you know, the more the better. So, but there's a lot of scrutiny. I mean, there's already we haven't even finished shooting the movie, and there's so much scrutiny. There's pictures popping up on the internet and people dissecting every little thing, you know, and you know, that's fair. And it's the people own the story, you know, it's a universal story that everybody's familiar with, and a lot of people are very devoted to. So it's almost, for some people, it's like a religion.
Well, we'll look forward to the new Superman movie, but we have an awful lot of Michael Shannon elsewhere to enjoy, particularly Take Shelter, which is a terrific picture. Michael, we appreciate your time with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon.
Michael Shannon, who was speaking to me a few days ago, he was quite tired. I think he just arrived.
Quite intense, though.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got the intense Michael Shannon. What do you think of Take Shelter?
I like the film very much. I mean, I like Shotgun Stories, which I'm sorry I referred to earlier on as Shotgun Tales. Oaf that I am. And I think that Jeff Nichols is an interesting director who has, you know, when Shotgun Tales came out, the comparison that everybody made was with Terrence Malick, and that. I understand that, because he does have that way of kind of capturing rural life with the right amount of dirt and the right amount of, you know, dirt under the fingernails. The thing that I like best about Take Shelter is it has this kind of apocalyptic, ominous feeling about it, and yet it plays its hand very close to its chest in relation to the onset of madness. I mean, essentially, it's not a simple, this character is cracked, this character has a history of madness within his family. What's happening is that you are seeing somebody's, you know, character fracturing, although actually that is very strong in exactly the same way that it is in Bug. And I would recommend that anybody, I'm not just saying this because Bug is Friedkin, I know people think I've just got a thing for William Friedkin, but it's more to do with, no, I know, but it's more to do with the subject matter of Bug itself. If you go and see Take Shelter and enjoy it, and please do, because it is very good, and it ends, I think, very well, and I think it balances its dreamlike elements that he was talking about there in the piece, with its, you know, hard grit, dirt under the fingernails elements. I think manages that very, very well. But if you enjoy that, do see Bug, because they do make interesting counterpoints. They are both essentially films about a worldview as seen through a fracturing personality, and the world appearing to sort of collapse around it. And he is an incredibly intense screen presence. I mean, the interesting thing to do will be to see him in a Zack Snyder movie and to see whether the intensity gets lost. I mean, I thought it was very interesting that when you asked him about Zack Snyder, what he said was he's a really nice guy. He didn't say, because you reeled off this list of really important filmmakers, then ended it with Zack Snyder.
Well, I just thought I knew what you wanted me to.
It's not Orson Welles, but he's a really nice guy.
Ben Knight in London.
You liked the film as well, right?
Yes, I did. No, absolutely. And you never, just that unsettling feeling of not being quite sure what's happening. Ben says, I caught a preview screening of Take Shelter last night at our local World of Cine. I was absolutely blown away. It really is a film that, excuse the cliche, works on so many levels. An exceptional piece of filmmaking with a phenomenal and Oscar-worthy lead performance from Michael Shannon. You genuinely care for this man and his family as he desperately and movingly tries to paper the cracks. But beyond the surface story, it shines a light on the past decade of middle-class decline in the US, a phenomenal translation of the intense pressure particularly felt by blue-collar men who racked up debt to maintain their family's comfortable existence, and whose pride led them to bury their fear from being one paycheck from oblivion, away from their families and neighbours. The tone of the movie, using well-judged bursts of suppressed and implied horror to punctuate the story and ramp up the tension, was spot on and allows the performances to shine. A genuine and heartfelt parable for our time, says Ben, and as powerful a critique of US politics and society today as The Crucible was during the McCarthy era.
I think that there is definitely...
He says film of the year for him.
There is definitely a political underpinning through all of this, and it was interesting as well that Bug played in the wake of 9/11, and I mean, I think those things about, you know, the paranoid feeling that everything is coming to some apocalyptic end. It's clear, you know, there is a political subject. I think, however, what's important about Take Shelter is it works even if you don't read it in that way.
Kermode and Mayo's Film Review.